Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your hostess, Miss Bumblebee. And today the polls have spoken, and we finally, after being on the polls for, I was on the poll for over 2 months. I know that. The skunk ape has finally seized the day. I don't know why the seizing the day was pulling testicles down, but it was. I don't feel like I have to explain myself. Okay. Anyway, the polls have spoken, as I said, and we are going to Florida. We are going to explore the skunk ape. Now, up until like last month or so, I had a plan to go to Florida and to have some fun exploring the skunk ape museum. This kind of fell through because economy. So, man, Florida is terrifying to me. I've just fled Texas. I'm not going to pop out of the fire and into the frying pan. But unfortunately, that fell through. So, I was saving this episode until after that was a thing, in case I got to actually go and show you all the museum and stuff live. But skunk ape, right? Skunk ape is fun. Some people call it the Florida Bigfoot. I'm not one of these people because I don't like to think about skunk ape as a Bigfoot. You know? I think about skunk ape as an ape. It may be related to Bigfoot or maybe related to the other apes. The other non-human apes, I guess I should say. But I like to think of it as its own unique thing. But these people that in the Bigfoot community, they want to lump it all together as one. The sightings of skunk apes, especially the ones that we're going to look at today, are not describing a Bigfoot, in my opinion. Obviously, have your own opinions, right? You can tell me if you think that they're the same species. I don't think it sounds like it's the same species. If it's not describing the same species, the same phenomena, it's not describing the same creature. And there are some key differences anatomically. Tripping over my own tongue already. I need a drink. Anatomically and ecologically. But maybe sometimes they'll call these southern fried Bigfoot. And these are the ones that are on the t-shirts too. So if you got a Cryptic Corner t-shirt, it's a southern Squatch. It's not a Pacific Northwest Squatch. I was saving that for a special release, which it'll probably be the same in a different color set. But words are hard, especially when you got a giant tongue like I do. Look at this thing. I'm basically Gene Simmons. It's freaking massive, and sometimes it tangles words up in my mouth. Swamp monkey! That's what I'm saying, Jason. Texas is different than Florida, too. Your Texas, okay, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I loved El Paso. I loved that city. I loved Austin when I visited. I loved the Highlands when I passed through them. I'm a nature person. Obviously, I'm doing a show, but and I really enjoyed all the time. The only part of Texas I found boring was North Texas down to Dallas, which, in its defense too, I found it boring because it looks like where I grew up with just grassy rolling hills and little forests and stuff. It's kind of like the Shire I know, the same landscape that I'm used to. And Oklahoma's kind of the same too. Now you get East Texas and eastern, all the way up to Missouri. There's swamp from like the steppes of the Ozarks in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. There's swampland that runs all the way down to, there's all these rivers and stuff that converge there and dump into the Mississippi, and they just create this huge swampy environment. It's the northernmost range that gators live. There aren't very many gators left there in East Texas and Arkansas, and definitely, I don't think there's been a gator sighting in Missouri for over 100 years. But these swamps, also, they run. I mean, they run through what they call creeks or creeks. They call them creeks, but we call it creeks. In the northern part of the state, my dad, this culture runs up the Mississippi, so half of my family spoke like that, creeks and hollers, and y'all have heard me do the southern accent. Maybe I should do the southern accent the whole time while I do the Sasquatch video. Here I am calling it a Sasquatch when I just explained that I don't even think it's a Sasquatch. But what I'm talking about right now is mainly the folk monster, right? And if we consider that a Sasquatch, it lives all down through the southern United States. And if we consider it a Sasquatch, it would at least be its own unique haplogroup of Sasquatch, with unique characteristics for living in river bottoms, swamps, and marshes. Now, if you take that seriously, though, be different like phenotypes. Good morning, everybody dropping in. Dripping is as liberal as anywhere that I've been. Sure, there are the Trump rubbers, but not as many lefties. Yeah. I'm sorry, I just kept jumping the comments. Anyway, we're looking at today's video is going to be Adventure, Explore, Discover. Right, and it's the guy with the hat. That's why he's got the hat there. We've talked about him before. Yeah, here's his not deer video. I think that we didn't talk about him with not deer. He's like living dinosaur videos and stuff like that. I don't know if he's like a young Earth creationist or what his deal is. I like his aesthetic. I like anybody who wears like an adventurer hat. That's why I liked Indiana Joe. I thought he was funny because he wore the hat. I like someone with a gimmick. I do the goth girl thing, or sometimes I do a clown. Yeah, actually, I mix it up a bit. I have like multiple personalities, so y'all get this one a lot. Well, I do have like a Barbie girl personality that pops up, and a chaotic clown personality that pops up. Maybe I should give them all accents to help distinguish them. Well, which accent would this character have? What accent should I speak in when I'm goth girl? All right. I think the southern accent. For some reason, I think it should go with the clown. I love the idea of a chaotic clown girl with a southern accent. She could be, I could lead into the rodeo clown stuff too, because I wear like the pink cowboy hat and stuff. Yeah. Hail Skunk Ape. Let's get into Skunk Ape, by the way. We'll revisit this channel, the main part of the channel after the video. But yeah, here's the Skunk Ape video, so we're going to pop into that. And we're talking about the Mayeka skunk ape photos, which were like debunked a long time ago. So anyway, let's let our boy talk. I'm gonna turn him up a little bit.
A strange, menacing creature had been stealing fruit from her back porch in rural Florida. Now, these are the chilling skunk ape photos that surfaced in 2000. These are the chilling skunk ape photos that surfaced in 2000, sent anonymously by a concerned senior citizen who claimed a strange, menacing creature had been stealing fruit from her back porch in rural Florida. Now, most photos like this are easy to dismiss. We've all seen the blurry, obviously fake hoaxes that popped up online. But here's where things get strange.
We can't hear the... Okay. Can you hear me now? I wish I'd never touched it. Like, I went in to mess with it to do the dual streaming, to try the dual streaming thing, and bumped everything around, and now, blah. You should be able to hear me now. Ba, ba, ba. Okay.
A video surfaced out of Mississippi showing what appears to be a similar creature in a bog or swamp type area, just a few hundred miles from where those original photos were taken.
Just a few hundred miles. Just a leisure day stroll away. They understand that these animals would have to, like, they move on foot and live in very isolated, select environments. Like, if you think about it, the way we drain to put in golf courses and crops and everything, and the way we drain the swamp. Okay, everyone, let's take it from the top. Yeah, well, I was trying to do the, because like it puts the vertical streams in a different algorithm. That's what I was going for, to try to get more a bigger audience, because I'm trying to eat. That's my main thing. I'm just trying to get as many people to view the video as possible, so that YouTube pays me more, so I can get like squeeze in another meal. Yeah, but I get that people don't like the dual streaming, and I don't ever anticipate anybody to leave this audience to go like into a vertical stream. But it annoys me. It annoys me too when it's like that. But I never go into the vertical streams. Like, it's just not my thing. I don't watch vertical streams. I don't watch anything live vertically. Everything I watch live, I watch on my monitors. What I watch vertically is I'll watch pre-recorded videos. That's it. You can hate dual streams. It's okay. What I don't like dual streams is when they go to more than one channel. Vertical streams do attract trolls. Absolutely. That's true. And sometimes they're pretty volatile. Yeah, it's a new YouTube thing. There's like I'll show you all. I might like start a different thing that I do dual streaming and see how it goes, and not just like try to force it into this morning show until I understand it better. Like when I do something like what I did on Thursday, I might try to do some vertical streaming, because that would have been fun. I don't know if you all watched on Thursday night, but I did a stream about Bigfoot.
You probably heard your share of people trying to cash in on Bigfoot fame, guys claiming they made the Patterson Gimlin costume, or that they were somehow involved in the staging of it. But when pressed, none of them can deliver solid proof. It's always hearsay and fading memories. So when I started digging into the Mayaka case,
bro's a true believer too, like on everything. He believe, like watching this guy. We've covered him at least twice before, and he's a true believer. He goes up to bat for like all of this is real. Every single cryptid ever presented is actual factual. Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Sumami. Did anybody else just pop in? Sandy, you're not going to get banned. You'll never get banned. Mwah. Love you. We don't always agree on everything all the time with anybody. So, dual streaming's like one of the things that I definitely agree that we should be able to disagree about. I don't like it either. I don't like having to try to figure out which one, like when somebody else does it, I don't like having to try to figure out. Don't figure out which one's vertical. I don't mute your stream. Like and share the stream instead. Yeah, this is going to take all kinds of editing. When I'm starting to wonder if I shouldn't edit out my interactions with you guys, like especially when we go off topic. When I publish these as standalones, I wonder if that would make them more palpable to rewatches.
I didn't expect to find much more than speculation, but instead, I found the full letter sent to the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, a first-hand account that's much harder to ignore. And I came across something else too, a swamp-dwelling figure captured on camera in Mississippi that looks eerily similar to the skunk ape described 2 decades earlier. And if there's one thing that life has taught me, it's that once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, but 3 times, that's
I don't think the hold on.
An accident. Twice is a coincidence, but 3 times,
I don't think this thing looks anything like this thing, right? This thing's shoulders are up here. Its head's down forward, like a knuckle walker. Look at it. Its shoulders like this. Oh, I'm gonna do the sexy version. I look like something Frazetta would draw right now. Like the ape woman queen. I think they're the only time I've ever seen Frazetta draw it, or draw or paint or whatever you want to, whatever he did in the medium. I don't know. Design an ape woman was in. Was it Ice and Fire? Where the woman's kidnapped by the ape men. Anyway. Yeah, it's like this. That's how it's built. And if you look at the thing in this video, which we'll get more into later on, it's definitely more upright. It's like not arching its back, but like up, like someone digging on something, and that's what it's doing. It's like digging. I think it's a bear, but we'll talk about why later on.
That's pattern. So today we're going to follow that pattern. First, we'll examine the original skunk ape photos, the handwritten letter that came with them, then we'll break down the Mississippi swamp ape footage and compare what we see. And finally, I'll show you a resource that might just make you question everything you thought you knew about
Is it the Invincible? Well done, sir. I loved that. It's Invincible. Do I have any Invincible fans in the audience? You all like that animation? But this is what I'm talking about. Oh.
In the year 2000, a letter written by what sounds like to be a fearful senior citizen, as well as 2 photos.
That's not what I meant to do. Retired from smashing trolls. If the price is right.
Photos were sent into the Sarasota Police Department, and this is that letter. Dear Sir or Ma'am, enclosed, please find some pictures I took in late September or early October of 2000. My husband says he thinks it is an orangutan. Is someone missing an orangutan? It is hard to judge from the photos how big this orangutan really is. It is in a crouching position in the middle of standing up from where it was sitting. It froze as soon as the flash went off. I didn't even see it as I took the first picture because it was so dark. As soon as the flash went off for the second time, it stood up and started to move. I then heard the orangutan walk off into the brushes. From where I was standing, I judge it as being about 6.5 to 7 feet tall in a kneeling position.
It's important at this point to punctuate that Humans are terrible about visually assessing something's size, right? Humans don't do that very well. We tend to exaggerate things that are to be bigger than they are.
As soon as I realized how close it was, I got back to the house. It had an awful smell that lasted well after it had left my yard. The orangutan was making deep whoomp noises. It sounded much farther away than it turned out to be. If I had known it was as close to the hedgerow as it was, I wouldn't have walked up as close as I did. I'm a senior citizen, and if this animal had come out of the ledge roll after me, there wasn't a thing I could have done about it. I was about 10 foot away from it when it stood up. I'm concerned because my grandchildren like to come down and explore in my backyard. An animal this big could hurt someone seriously. For 2 nights prior, it had been taking apples that my daughter brought down from up north off our back porch. These pictures were taken on the third.
He's like, hey, are these apples for everybody? Yeah. I don't know if this is even a real situation, though. I think this letter is mostly fictional.
Third night, it had raided my apples. It only came back one more night after that and took some apples that my husband had left out in order to get a better look at it. We left out 4 apples. I cut 2 of them in half. The orangutan only took the whole apples. We didn't see it take them. We waited up, but eventually had to go to bed. We got a dog back there now, and as far as I can tell, the orangutan hasn't been back. Please find out where this animal came from and who it belongs to. It shouldn't be loose like this. Someone will get hurt. I called a friend that used to work with animal control back up north, and he told us to call the police.
Like, so this letter and then the photos are the evidence that we have.
I didn't want any fuss or people with guns traipsing around behind our house. We live near I-75, and I'm afraid this orangutan could cause a serious accident if someone hit it. I wanted a deer that wasn't even a quarter of the size of this animal and totaled my car. At the very least, this animal belongs in a place like Busch Gardens where it can be looked after properly. Why haven't people been told that an animal this size is loose? How are people to know how dangerous this could be? If I had known an animal like this,
and I'm sorry, I'm like really anxious to get to the pictures, but
was loose, I wouldn't have approached it. I saw on the news that monkeys that get loose can carry hepatitis and are very dangerous.
Okay, there we go. That's what I was waiting for. So a couple of was it about a month ago? No, it's been just a few weeks ago. The truck crashed and the monkeys got loose in Mississippi, and the driver told the police that the monkeys had hepatitis. So, like, people were freaking out and like killing monkeys all over the place.
Please look after this situation. I don't want my backyard to turn into someone else's circus. God bless. I prefer to remain anonymous. Now, we could spend hours speculating about what kind of senior citizen in the year 2000 knew how to use a computer, wrote up a letter, and printed out physical photos to mail to law enforcement. But honestly, that's a waste of time. Technology adoption varies widely from person to person. Some older folks are sharp with computers, others struggle, and a few just claim they're bad with tech as an excuse not to bother. The truth is, we have no idea who.
Well, there's things about the language too, like the way they describe the situation. Doesn't really come across. It doesn't come across as like a young kid or anything, but it doesn't come across like something that was written by someone who would have been elderly in the early 2000s. So, say somebody born in the late 1910s or early 1920s, like somebody super elderly, maybe into the 1920s or the 1930s. Yeah. Does not sound like greatest generation speak.
Woman was. She could have been a.
But she could have had somebody else type it up for her too, as she dictated. So there's that possibility as well. There's a lot of stuff that stands out. I'm trying to find the. the document that I had.
Quiet homemaker, a retired educator, or even a local figure who didn't want to be labeled as the crazy lady in her community. Maybe she just wanted to raise a genuine concern without turning it into a circus. But here's where it gets interesting. If I were trying to hoax the public, if I really wanted people to believe a monster was roaming the Florida swamps, I wouldn't spend 8 separate moments in the letter insisting it was just an orangutan. That alone.
See, that's what I like about Skunk Ape. This is what I was trying to pinpoint earlier. Morning, Helen. This is what I was trying to pinpoint earlier. That that the idea of the skunk ape as a species of ape is more compelling to me than the idea of the skunk ape as a Bigfoot, right? Like, as either a naturalized population of escaped like apes from some like from some facility somewhere that maybe escaped during a hurricane, like Hurricane Andrew, because there were. That's how we got a lot of the I shouldn't say all the. That's how we got a lot of the pythons that are troubling Florida now. A lot of the reptiles and birds and monkeys that have become invasive in Florida are from, I think it was Andrew, was it 1991? So having skunk ape is like presented as a actual escaped population of apes that have started to reproduce, whether they're orangutans or chimpanzees or bonobos or gorillas. It doesn't look like a gorilla. What it does look like is an orangutan, as close as to anything else. But 1992, thank you. I was so close. You need to. I was just talking about having to reschedule my trip to Florida at the end of the show. Yeah, because I'm a broke bitch. There was a lot of reptile farms in Florida that flooded out. There were macaques that escaped too, monkeys that escaped. People just let them go into the Everglades when these animals get too big. Yeah. There was big cats too.
The red flag, not of deceit, but of sincerity. You see, in real hoaxes, the trick is to let people draw their own conclusions. That's how you get attention. That's how you stir the pot. The more mysterious it is, the more viral it becomes. This woman does the opposite. She practically pleads with authorities to treat it as a wild, dangerous animal. Something known, not unknown. She talks about it being hit by a car, about how it might carry diseases, about how it could hurt her grandchildren. Her tone isn't breathless or theatrical. It's worried. She wants it gone, not glorified. And that's not the behavior of someone trying to launch.
Because that's so to me, let's take this as genuine. If we're taking this as genuine, then this letter would actually be a woman calling about what she suspects is an escaped ape in her backyard, and some pictures of it. And the pictures are very ape-like.
A cryptid hoax. If anything, this letter all but guarantees that her claim gets filed away as escaped exotic pet and forgotten. And not to mention, if I wanted somebody to believe that this was a Bigfoot, I would have called it a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. Calling it an orangutan kind of belittles the possibility that it could be something that it's not. Now let's talk about what we're actually seeing in the photos. If you compare these images to orangutans with long shaggy hair, you'll notice
orangutans. It sort of does drive me crazy when people call them that. It's orangutan. For a short period in the 90s, they tried to rebrand it from orangs to Utahns, because orang is where people got the orangutan. But orang still sticks. I don't think anybody calls them Utahns anymore. But it's orang-utan. I say it together, orangutan. But it's always, I think it's cute when people call them orangutans. It's just a funny, like, if I created a new species of ape, I would call it the orangutan, just to bring it back, just to recycle it.
Something. And Bob Gimlin, not the cowboy,
Not the cowboy, the YouTuber. But let's take just a moment to compare this, though. Like you got that, like I mentioned earlier, the hunch. You cannot not unsee that. Like when we look at other Bigfoot videos, Bigfoots don't hunch like that. At least not like as in their normal stance. This guy is super hunched over, like his like. And when we talk about this when we argue with young Earth creationists, right? Like how his skull attaches to his spine, right? Because I have a theory about what this is. I don't even know for certain that this is in Florida. But even if it is in Florida, I have no reason to believe that this wasn't taken at some sort of primate facility where they just like went up to the fence and took a picture of one of the orangutans, big male orangutans, resting at night, disturbed it, and its eyes got caught in the eye shine of that early. I just talked about this too on the Bigfoot video, or Bigfoot thing I did on Thursday night. The eye shine, right? In the late 90s and early 2000s, there was this issue with the way they capture light on the digital cameras. I think it was an issue with there was like a laser thing in it that caused this, but they've since replaced that with like I think a blue laser. I'm not sure. I don't know the technical side of it. Yeah. So like I don't disagree that this is an orangutan in Florida. There's nothing about that claim that I find problematic. Whether or not it's escaped or housed somewhere, that's where I'm kind of because I do believe. I mean, I'm willing to believe that this is an organic organism, especially because the facial expressions change. It could be a man in a suit, but the way the eye shine works, I really want to believe this is a real animal, just based on what I'm seeing here. Now, the picture that he's chosen for the orangutan here is really good to compare this to, because you get everything from the dentition, which we do see dentition here. You see, I don't know how well you guys see it, but there's 2 lower canines. And there are the 1, 2, 3, 4 incisors, which does seem to match up with what we're seeing here. A row of 4 lower incisors, 2 lower canines. So it does match up with like a real ape. I think. And the foliage does the foliage hell is with this foliage it could be in, this could be in Borneo. But if they want to say it's in Florida, I'm fine with that. But there's no evidence that this was a wild animal. That this wasn't somebody's, even somebody's pet in their backyard, for all I know. Florida has some crazy rules, or had some crazy rules until the Andrews situation, and they kind of cut back on what sort of critters you could keep. But anyhow, I'm perfectly fine accepting that this is an ape. And this is why I like skunk ape. This is what stands out about skunk ape to me. Is that it could be a very real primate. Like Bigfoot gets into the more like what could it be? Is it a human? Is it an animal kind of thing? But this is very clearly an animal, very clearly a primate, very clearly a great ape of non. Well, I don't think it's in the the tribe that we're in, the African apes. It looks very much like an Asian ape, which would be an orangutan, the only ones that are extant.
YouTuber, did a great breakdown of this almost a decade ago. He pointed out how chimps and other great apes use facial expressions to communicate fear, submission, and aggression. The two expressions caught in these photos, these line up almost perfectly with what's called a fear grimace and a retreat response.
Why are you showing African apes? Because they have completely different mannerisms than Asian apes. A chimpanzee's facial expressions are going to have more in common with yours than they are with an orangutan's. So why are you showing me chimpanzees?
The first image looks like a startled reaction. Wide eyes, lips curled. The second appears.
But again, you're comparing an African ape's expressions with Asian ape's expressions, which are independent of each other. That's what's always so funny about like Planet of the Apes and stuff, because they'll have chimps and gorillas and bonobos, but they'll also have orangutans. When orangutans are going to have the disease killed all the humans, but only the non-human apes survived, and orangutans are more distantly related. So wouldn't they be, if there was a disease that would kill the African apes independent of the Asian apes, or the Asian apes independent of the African apes, not put them together? Rant over.
To show it backing away with its brow furrowing and face tightening, possibly shielding its eyes from the harsh flash of the camera. So just imagine,
Perhaps
even if this
shielding its eyes. What are you talking about? Perhaps shielding its eyes. I don't see any indication that it's shielding its eyes.
shielding its eyes from the harsh flash of the camera. So just imagine, even if this was some kind of unusually hairy chimp, flash of the camera.
Now I do see some like plant matter here that doesn't seem to have any source across the face. So I don't know if this is being thrown, as an ape is wont to do, or if it's somehow been cut off by the shadows of the plants in front of it to make it look like it's floating. But there's like no attached part, and it's green, so it's not like dead plant matter hanging there. Curious. And the way that it covers across the nose has me suspicious, but I'm glad we got in closer here because we can look again at the dentition, which is important to me, and that's how that helps me identify a lot of creatures, is looking at the dentition. So, 2 canines, 1, 2, and then we should see 4 across here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. It almost looks like there's a 5th one in there, but I don't know if that's just a gap in the tooth that's being pixelated in. It's hard to say with this poor resolution. I like that that we can see the beard more so in this lighting. See, getting close in like this, I don't know if this was done to enhance it, but I almost see like a cloudy Photoshop job over top of this with there's the white that may have actually been there, but then this white here goes over top of the plant matter too. This cloudy white, this milky white. It goes, like you can see it, like especially follow this. If you follow this one up through, you see it goes behind this cloudy whiteness here. That's suspicious to me. Okay? I'm going to point out a few suspicious things while we're up this close. The fact that it kind of gets patchy here, which I can see is that they were going for saying they're going for, like, I'm sure this is photoshopped, but that the shadow is catching here. But the way the shadow sort of skirts around the finer tips of this, like in bulk instead of individually, it's really suspicious. This milky white layer here, and it could be a relic from printing, from the light reflecting off the whiter fur. There's a lot of things that could cause that, but the fact that it blends right in here and it goes over top of the plants, and not all the plants, that's part of the problem too, is that it goes over top of this one, this one here, but this one here is in front of it, like over top of it, and this one here goes over top of it, right? It's very suspicious. Could the milky white be breath? Was it cold there? I mean, this is southern Florida. I don't think it ever gets cold enough to like see your breath down in like basically in the Caribbean. I mean, maybe it does on certain nights of the year, but let's see. What are you doing? We're going to look at my Yakka. I'm just pulling it up on the map. Give me a second. And we're going to see how far south it is. All right. It's not really that far south. Hey, it's near it's near some of my people in the chat. So my Floridians, it gets cold enough down here to see your breath. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't know when you got this far down if it would get that cold. But I believe people who live in the area when they say, yeah, it's been in the winter, I can see my breath some nights or most nights or whatever. Speaking of this place, though, we need to save this to the favorites now that we've been here. But here's the Skunk Ape Museum. You want to drop down and look in there real quick while we're down here? Whoop. So there's the skunk ape habitat, very conveniently right across from the skunk ape headquarters. Everglade Adventure Tours with kayaks. Hell yeah, I love canoes. I haven't seen any kayaks actually. It's just canoes. Do they let you kayak, or is kayaking sitting too low in the water and the gators get you? I want to go canoeing. Okay, it does a couple weeks during the year. Chewbacca married an Ewok maiden, and that is the result. I'm here for that. You didn't miss too much. We're skunk aping right now. We're going. This is the Skunk Ape Museum. I wonder where the tour takes you. We got a campground back here. Like, I wonder, like, over here, this was, like, when we dropped down, this was all swampland. I'm assuming that this is not. I don't know, though. Can we drop down? Yeah, we can drop down right here. And let's see. It's more of like marshy. Yeah, what you call a marsh in a swamp. But this is still prime skunk ape habitat. But you wouldn't be able to kayak here because it's pretty solid ground. I mean, not solid. It's probably mud that'll sink you down to your knees. We are gonna go. I know I want to go. I just wish I can't afford to. Me and Helen keep having this conversation because we really want to go to the Skunk Ape Museum. She really wants to show me the Skunk Ape Museum, and I really want to go. Todd's so excited to go. We're all gonna go down and get our picture taken with a live skunk ape in the wild from our canoe. But it's just finding the resources and funding to get me to Florida for a weekend. Yeah. And I got every penny I get, I have to go towards survival at this point. We should just start kayaking everywhere and abandon cars, right? Like, have like a water system, right? That runs through cities and stuff, like little canals that you kayak in. I would love that. That would be awesome. You have like kayaks and canoes. Can I bring back kayaking and canoeing around? And like, instead of highways, you'd have like rivers that you went down, like narrow rivers, maybe even along major rivers. Like, we already have the pathways. I guess it's getting back up that's the problem. So we can drop down inside here too, I think. Let me see. Well, not inside, I guess. We're like at the door. Look at this place. Exit only, do not enter. There's a Florida panther. I love a Florida panther. Dangerous reptiles. Hell yeah, there are. Got a gift shop, a big old gator. Yeah. There's the skunk ape right out front, though. And we can walk inside. Look at this place. There's a gray fox, I believe. Black bear. Wild boar. Or I guess that's probably a feral hog, not a wild boar. So we're going to go here at some point. And we're going to get our skunk ape on. Deeper, it's a white tail. We got some gooses. Sasquatch next 10 kilometers. It's got a target. Oh, don't shoot. Do not shoot Sasquatch. Just don't. Why would you do such a thing? We got raccoon pelts. Is that a Florida panther head? Oh my gosh. This is, I like gift shops like this where there's a lot of wild stuff. I guess that's a bathroom probably. Can I walk around more or is this it? I mean, this was more than I expected, honestly. But I want to camp here. Like, I kind of want to get a tent or or if someone had a camper that we could borrow and do a camp out here. What do you all think? Would that be fun? We could do like live broadcast. We gotta crowdfund this. Let's crowdfund a trip to the Everglades. Yeah, because look, they got a camper. You can get your camper set up. You're right on the edge. I'd be herping so hard here. Yeah, let's do it. Let's crowdfund this shit. All right. Let me get back to the video. Where are we? There we go. All right.
So just imagine even if this was some kind of unusually hairy chimp. It's outside after dark, maybe scavenging. A screen door bangs shut, a porch light suddenly flashes on. That reaction, shock followed by withdrawal, makes sense. It feels real. And then there's the physical structure. If this were a costume or a
Hold on, I'm gonna catch up on my comments here because I see Kelly came in. Hey babe. Let's start a conspiracy that Disney tried beating an unholy new species of great ape, but tried to cover it up when it escaped. Yeah, it's Disney's atomic ape, right? They were trying to build a perfect primate body to attach the head of Walt Disney to by crossbreeding different ape species, and this is what they created. And then it escaped because it was too smart. It was too perfect. Right? Once I'm feeling better, we'll make it happen, right? I know my girl here, Helen, has been dealing with some terrible health issues. So if you want to send her some love, send her some love. I'm doing the millennial style. Let's see. It's catching up. What if Bigfoot is trying to get sexy without consent? Who wouldn't consent to this? Oh, yeah. That's got daddy energy. For real, do not shoot anything that resembles Bigfoot. Yeah, because it's probably a person. You're probably going to catch a murder charge. I'm going to wait for the sea to rise another few feet. Yeah, and then we can definitely start kayaking everywhere. We can camp in a hotel. Can we camp in a hotel? A camper would be fine, right? How you be living in Florida and don't have any friends that let you borrow their camper? Summer camping is shit. Camping during the fall is the only camping. Yeah, if I was going to do this, I'd probably plan to do it like at Halloween time. Like, do it in like mid-October. That would be what I would plan to. And we could bring apples with us. Because that's what skunk apes like. Skunk apes eat apples. Like, this goes hand in hand.
Statue, the face and features would be rigid, static. But in the second photo...
Okay, and this is a comparison that I do like. So, some of the features do seem to change. I don't know how I feel about the claim that the eyes are wide here and closed a bit here. I think that here they're catching full light and there they're not catching full light. Whether that means that they're closed more is subjective because it could be the angle of the head allowing them to catch as much light. And the mouth is open in both images as far as I can see. I don't know why this image is saying the mouth is shut when we can clearly see the teeth. There's the canine tooth right there and the gums. Actually, I would even say you can see the inside of the mouth better in this picture. So I don't know why he's saying it's shut. Unless it starts talking about this being shut. I don't consider this a shut mouth though, right? I think my mouth is still open. Bugs can still get in there. My mouth's shut like this. And I'm an ape. Last time I checked.
We see distinct changes, especially in the mouth and brow, movement, emotion. These aren't just two snapshots of some puppet. Something actually changed between them. So either this is the most underrated, expertly crafted hoax of the early 2000s, complete with animatronics and subtle behavior cues, or it's exactly what the woman claimed it was, a real creature, one that's not supposed to exist. And here's the part that pulls everything together. This creature, this swamp ape, might not be limited to just Florida, because just a few states away in Mississippi, a new video has surfaced, and what it shows is disturbingly familiar. This next video surfaced about 14 years after the Mayaka skunk ape photos, and before I show it to you, there are a few things you should know. I've worked to stabilize the footage so it's easier to watch. The original was pretty shaky. What you'll notice is that the creature appears...
Bigfoot has, we talked about this earlier, Thursday, we talked about this, that Bigfoot has psychic powers and can manipulate electronics, so that's why he's shaky and blurry.
Appears to be sitting in front of a tree, peeling off chunks of bark. Then toward the end, it stands up, and that's when the man recording decides he's seen enough and takes off. Now let's talk about the bark stripping behavior for a second. I'm no wildlife expert despite my similar appearance to Coyote Peterson, so I did a little digging, and what I found is fascinating. Gorillas do peel bark from...
I like you a lot better than Coyote Peterson, I'm going to be frank about it. I just don't like the way Coyote Peterson tries to villainize stinging creatures, mostly arthropods. Bees, hornets, wasps, ants. Makes people afraid of them. I don't think it's good for them. People like see a tarantula hawk or something, they have a fear response to it, an unneeded fear response to it, because it doesn't want to mess with you. You have to go out of your way to get stung by it, so just leave it alone. So I like you better than Coyote Peterson, dude. Just so you know. Bigfoot can also travel through portals. I heard that. That's probably what those orbs are. Is like the portal, like the collapsed portals floating away.
trees. They do it to get the nutritious pulp underneath, to eat decaying wood, or even lick stumps for sodium. It's actually textbook primate behavior, especially when other food sources are limited. So yeah, skeptics might say this is just an escaped gorilla, but before you jump to that conclusion, let me throw this into the mix.
Let me clarify here that usually when you see an ape digging at a decaying tree stump, they're looking for insect larvae. They're not actually eating the pulp. They can. I mean, depending on the type of wood it is. There's a lot of edible wood. We eat wood. I didn't know if you knew that or not, but should I say we eat wood? There's probably wood that we eat too. Like aspirin's made out of willow bark, for instance. But root beer is wood. You're basically drinking wood flavored carbonated sugar water. But if you're drinking root beer, if you eat something that's root beer flavored, you're eating wood. You're a little termite. That's what you are. Do you eat wood? Oh my gosh, you're you're getting into the territory. I be eating wood. I remember my giant tongue.
The Creek people of the Native American tribe.
Maybe that's why I have a big tongue for scooping up termites. Maybe I'm an anteater. It's my ape instinct to lick grubs out of logs with my tongue.
Of the Southeast had stories of monsters. They called them kolowa, and while translations vary, modern interpretations of that word, gorilla.
That's such a silly argument when they say, hey, this Native American language had this word for primates, and it sounds kind of like these people's word for gorilla or whatever. And they use that a lot in the Pacific Northwest, but like people were European ships have been coming up the Pacific coast since Spain took Mexico in like 1585 or some shit like that. Like Spanish ships have been sailing up and down the Pacific coast ever since. And people coming from that coast brought monkeys with them. They even have monkey mask from like Pacific Northwest tribes. That's from their contact with Europeans. And word association, because like when you think of gorilla and you think of the origins of the word gorilla, to claim that same word would be, because let me see. Etymology of gorilla. It's supposed to be an African word for wild or hairy person, found in the Greek accounts of the voyages of Carthaginian explorer Hanno in the 5th or 6th century, adopted in 1847 as a specific name of the ape. So it was a name that Hanno the Navigator. We could talk about Hanno at some point. That's when we do like a deep dive in the history of Bigfoot lore, because he's a big part of it, and how people characterize it. But like what he did was he went down and sailed down into Africa along the coast, and along the coast of West Africa, he discovered that there was a tribe of primitive people, and he called them gorilla or wild hairy people, right? And it's suspected that he discovered either a troop of chimpanzees or a troop of gorillas. It's hard to say. They were both native to the region. They overlap there quite a bit in the armpit of Africa, if you will. So it's hard to say what he ran into, right? But they created that word for it to claim that a different group of people across the the Atlantic before, like this is pre-Columbian contact, would have a similar word for the same thing is just silly. Gorillas are terrifying. Well, the big males are for sure. I for real see a black bear with its head shoved inside of a tree. Are you seeing a Bigfoot here? Well, at some angles it does look humanoid, but a lot of angles it looks like a bear. The shoulders are interesting though. Especially because they seem to come up out of nowhere right there. Oh, we're watching it again. Actually, the stabilized footage has sort of changed my mind. I definitely think it's somebody in some kind of suit at this point. Standing like this right now, right? Manipulating the stuff. Obviously from the other side. Like this. Right? And they're up manipulating stuff. What do y'all think? A squatting human in a costume. Standing up. Because the way the shoulders spread out here, I don't think it's a bear. The shoulders are too broad across. Too human-like. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here that does look like a bear, though. I almost wonder if this is someone in a bear costume, or something similar. I'm showing you what. Showing my ass again. It is a nice ass, though. But like digging up in the underbrush. I was pretending to be a skunk ape. I can be a skunk ape. See? I'm knuckle walking, so I'm an ape. I'm gonna sit like an ape. Who's complaining? Hopefully nobody. I'm gonna start making skunk ape content. I'm gonna dress like a skunk ape. I seen a monkey mask. I'm just gonna wear that and make content. And it'll be like Return to the Planet of the Apes.
So now with these two pieces of evidence, the Mayaka photos and this Mississippi footage, we have to ask ourselves a serious question. Could these creatures actually be real? Now, let me be clear so you can decide for yourself where you stand. I believe these sightings, these swamp-dwelling primates, are regional variations of Gigantopithecus, the massive ape believed to have gone extinct.
This is for the Hive regulars. This is one of my pet peeves. The Gigantopithecus argument is such a huge problem. It has so many holes. Does not make sense in the slightest. Okay. We've never found any Asian ape remains outside of or north of China, right? There was just never, within the time that apes have been on this planet, there's never been a situation where we see that region would have been a place where apes could even live. My mic got quiet. Is it back? I mean, I'm sure my mic got quiet when I was turned around. Am I quiet now? Check. It looks like it's peaking high. Huh. Let me look here. Doo-doo-doo. Sound. I'm up at 55. I can crank it up a little bit. I don't want it to be too high and peak all over the place. But I got my mic's right here. I hear you fine. Sounds okay to me. Okay, good. I know my mic. My sound probably dropped when I was turned around. But okay, I was talking about the Gigantopithecus thing, right? Okay, so Gigantopithecus lived along. Basically, we'll just make it simple. We'll say along the Himalayas, right? Do I have to still have the map up? Boom, boom, boom. I do. All right. So let's talk about Gigantopithecus. First of all, here's Florida, right? Gigantopithecus lived, across an entire continent of North America. So maybe there's habitat that apes can live in the southern parts of the United States, right? But all this across here, the Great Plains and the Rocky Mountains, the desert Southwest, all of this, you can make an argument that the apes could live in this area, in this rainforest here, if they've adapted somehow to handle the snow. But across all this, and you got this forested area up here that's going to be largely coniferous, so that's not going to be prime habitat. And tons of tundra. Across the Bering Land Bridge would be the only way that it could go. And apes do not live in the tundra. There's never been any kind of evidence. And the fun thing about tundra habitats is that they tend to preserve their life forms very well, especially if it's life forms from within the last ice age, right? So we are pretty well versed on what lived in this area 100,000 years ago, and there's definitely no bipedal apes. So tundra, more tundra, and taiga, which is that coniferous forest that I was talking about, and taiga, tons of taiga, montane, forested regions. Then we get down into the areas like the Pacific Northwest. These parts of. This is all still frigid regions, and you get into this huge plateau, right? And you'd have to go, I guess, along the coast here, if you were an ape, to maintain even the semblance of enough forest to make that sort of migration, right? And leave no traces behind. But this is the region of the world that the northern reaches of Asian apes was in this part of the world. Historically, apes did live all along this area of the Himalayas, right? But this is where Asian apes really come from. This is what orangutan, Gigantopithecus. What are some other Asian apes? I can't even think of any off the top of my head. But yeah, they all lived in this area. So that's quite the migration for the most arboreal of the great apes, the most dependent on dense rainforests and jungles, right? Right? So keep that in mind. Oh no, we've already went way over on Cryptic Corner, haven't we? Uh-oh. Not way over. We'll finish this one out though.
Hundreds of thousands of years ago. And I know some folks believe Bigfoot is something spiritual or even interdimensional, but I respectfully disagree. I think it's a real physical animal, incredibly rare, highly intelligent, and perfectly adapted to stay hidden. And look, maybe you don't buy the Mayaka photos, maybe you think this Mississippi creature is just a trick of the light.
When I say Asian apes, oh my gosh, I should clarify now that you brought up gibbons, because gibbons are Asian apes, but what I'm talking about is the great apes, and gibbons are not great apes. I guess I should have been much more clear about that. But gibbons live almost exclusively in what would you call that? It's not the Sunda, but like down here, almost exclusively. Let's see if I can find a map. Yeah, here we go. That's a better visual. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so this is where gibbons live, right? In these different territories. So when we look at this map, yeah, it's this area.
Or a zoo escapee. That's fair. But what if I told you we already have something even more powerful than eyewitness reports? Something physical, verifiable, and tested. DNA. That's right. A Texas veterinarian and genetics researcher conducted a full-scale DNA analysis of 111 samples submitted from across North America. Hair, blood, stools...
Well, we're talking about the Melba Ketchum research. Hold on. The Ketchum Project. Boom, boom. Security check. Damn. I am human. What are you talking about? All right. Here we go. This really doesn't specify or hone in on skunk ape specifically, but what the hell? Let's do it. I'll take this back over here for now. Okay. This paper is a detailed history of the attempts by Melba S. Ketchum to publish evidence that, in quotes, and we're going to talk about quotes here when we do the Matt Powell thing in a minute, that confirms the existence of a novel hominin hybrid species commonly called Bigfoot or Sasquatch living in North America. The research claims that the DNA sequence returned or results suggest that the legendary Sasquatch is a human relative that arose approximately 15,000 years ago as a hybrid cross between Homo sapiens and an unknown primate species. The paper was ridiculed and rejected by the scientific community. This is a blatant example of an attempt to make an end run around peer review with sensational claims. The Ketchum Project, what to believe about Bigfoot DNA science. On November 24th, DNA Diagnostics, a veterinary laboratory headed by Dr. Melba S. Ketchum, issued a press release that rocked the cryptozoological world. A team of scientists can verify that their 5-year-long DNA study, currently under the peer review, confirmed the existence of a novel hominid hybrid species. Hybrid species. I don't even like that terminology, but we'll move past it. Commonly called Bigfoot or Sasquatch, living in North America, researchers' extensive DNA sequencing suggests that the legendary Sasquatch is a human relative that arose approximately 15,000 years ago. Well, we just read that. The study was said to include sequencing of 20 whole mitochondrial genomes. Is there a conclusion? Let's see. Back to the beginning. This is pretty long. We're definitely not going to have time to read it. Results are exposed. Ketchum's key to gaining acceptance for her Bigfoot DNA claims was published in a respected peer-reviewed scientific journal, but the plan went awry. The complicated mix of people, secrecy, delays, and promises boiled over in late November when news of the study was outed by Igor Burtsev, the self-appointed head of the Russian-based International Center of Hominology. Burtsev issued this urgent announcement on his Facebook page on November 23rd. The DNA analysis of the Bigfoot Sasquatch specimen conducted by Dr. Belba Ketchum, the head of the DNA diagnostic in Timpson, Texas, U.S., has been over, he stated, in that the team of American scientists led by Ketchum analyzed 109 purported samples of the creature. Ketchum sounded somewhat dismayed when responding to the leak, saying, "It's unfortunate that the partial summary of our data was released in this manner. However, I will be making a formal response in the next few days." Even though Igor Burtsev released this, it was not Dr. Burtsev's fault. She later admitted that possibly misunderstanding due to language and his eagerness is why the non-disclosure agreement was breached. At this point, she felt the study must be addressed instead of ignoring the leak that might cause further damage if left unattended. Unattended. And then, look who we have here. If it isn't our favorite charlatan, David Paulides. The papers appear. Yeah, I want to get to the circus that follows. Yeah. Accompanying the official version of the paper was Erickson's video, which supposedly showed a sleeping Sasquatch. The short clip made public a day later showed a brown, furry mass sleeping in woodland on the woodland floor. The Erickson project claimed that DNA was obtained from this individual named Matilda, which was analyzed as part of the Ketchum study, providing a link to the real creature. So what does Ketchum have? Is it a human DNA with an undocumented variation? Is it an animal sample contaminated with human DNA, or vice versa? Is it a concocted hoax, or is it actually unique DNA that may point to the existence of an unknown hominid or two? In a revealing interview on Coast to Coast AM, she told the public she is not after glory, would rather avoid the publicity, and that and has turned down money-making offers. So, yeah. I don't think, just my opinion, I don't think that this is a good citation.
Skin all allegedly linked to Sasquatch encounters. These weren't one-off samples either. They came from 14 states and 2 Canadian provinces, all collected by different people in different places over different years. And the results they're shocking. The mitochondrial DNA, the kind passed down from mother, came back human, but the nuclear DNA, that came back as primate. This hybrid is something that we've never seen before, and that should have been the discovery of the century. But instead of front page headlines, the study was buried. Major scientific journals refused to publish the findings, afraid of the backlash. A journalist even launched a hit piece to discredit the research, but the counterclaims were full of holes, raising more.
Actually, the counterclaims were based in the Ketchum paperwork was full of holes. You got that kind of inverted. I understand why you would want to do that, but yeah, that's just not the way the scientific process works.
Suspicion than certainty. So now we have to ask, was this a flawed study or an effort to suppress the truth? Because if that DNA is legit, then Bigfoot isn't just a myth, it's real. And someone somewhere doesn't want us to know. And maybe that's why, even with videos, photos, and now genetic material, we still don't have proof, because Uncle Sam just might be hiding something. Now what that something is, well, that's a mystery.
Bigfoot is in the basement of the Smithsonian. We gotcha.
And where mysteries lie, adventure awaits. If you like what I do and you want to help support me, then the best way.
If you like what I do, you can support me on Patreon too. You can join these badass mofos up here. See that scrolling across the top? That's my patrons. So if you want to join them, you want to participate in supporting the Hive and the development of the Hive and the future of the Hive, yeah. That's what you can do, is support me on Patreon. Thank you for plugging my patron, bud. I appreciate you. I didn't know he was going to do that. All right, so that was Adventure, Explore, Discover. And one of their more recent videos, too. But they do a video every few... it looks like about every month, every 2 months or so. We got hidden treasure, living dinosaurs, lake monsters. We got Pigman. I love the Pigman. Look how short that video is, though. Most of his videos are fairly short. They're all under, actually they're all pretty much under half an hour. But we covered it for an hour because I kept going on tangents. I love to tangent, though, especially about cryptids. Now, I have some other stuff to pull up and cover, and we might have to just do a Skunk Ape standalone at some point. Because I had a Thinker Thunker video pulled up about the same footage, though, where he makes all kinds of claims
Down
about
to the
bone
knee.
structure and stuff, about the guy digging in the tree, and Thinker Thunker goes all out on their their artistic representations. I guess they're scientific representations, but, you know. Just charting it out, and he insists that it matches the proportions of Patty. How Patty got from California to Florida
Teams over on the right.
is beyond me, but yeah. Anyway, so that's that. Now, when it comes to the topics we cover on Cryptic Corner, we probably won't circle back to this on the Saturday morning show. We'll probably do this as a standalone, like, special at some point. Again, if I do go on a adventure into Florida to the museum and stuff, I will do another coverage on it. But I appreciate everybody hanging out with me for some Skunk Ape action. We all need a little more Skunk Ape in our lives, isn't that right? You all got to see me make ape poses and stuff and act like an ape. But you know what? I am an ape. I'm a human ape. Humans are apes. Hey, you, what do you see? We live with apes, babe. It's hard to be clean. Hey, you, what gotta believe? I'm singing Marilyn Manson. Anyway, I need to close out this segment. So, Cryptic Corner peeps, thank you so much for sticking around. This has been a long one. Appreciate ya. Remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time.